Good morning. Well, my first video got deleted, so here we go with try number 2. I'm going to stick with YouTube. So lesson 41 is review of some geometry. So we're going to be reviewing the Pythagorean Theorem and the distance formula. So Pythagorean Theorem is only applicable in a right triangle. So I can't use this for an obtuse or an acute. This is specifically for a right triangle. And so the Pythagorean theorem states that the two legs, a squared plus b squared, have to equal the square of the hypotenuse. So C is the hypotenuse, and the hypotenuse is the longest side, and that's really important for today. Our hypotenuse should always represent the side with the longest length. A distance formula is the distance equals the difference in my x values squared plus difference in my y values squared. Now, this is used to find the distance between any two points. So here we go. We're going to jump into lesson practice, which is on page 300 and part A. Part A gives us the following sides. So this says the sides of the triangle are 14 meters, 20 meters, and 25 meters. And it asks the question, is this a right triangle? So I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem to determine whether this is a right triangle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to identify my hypotenuse. Remember, our hypotenuse should be the longest side. So the longest measurement here is 25. So I know that this is C, and you can make these A, B. It doesn't matter which one you write first. I just know that that is the hypotenuse. So I know the right should represent 25 squared. The left, you can put 14 squared plus 20 squared, but please note you could also write 20 squared plus 14 squared. This would be okay too. It doesn't matter what order you put the left in. So the next part you're going to do is simply find the value of each side. So the left is 14 squared plus 20 squared. Might want to turn it on. And that gives me 596. The right is 25 squared, which is 625. Now, these do not equal, so then I would say no, this is not a right triangle because they don't equal. The next one is just like this one, so if you want to pause and try it, your following sides that they gave us are 12 millimeters, 16 millimeters, and 12 millimeters. Now so you can pause it, try it, but they are asking us, is this a right triangle? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is identify C. It should be the largest number, so 20 is C, or our hypotenuse. So I know that on the right-hand side I have 20 squared, and on the left you'll set up the other two, which represent our legs. And then from here, you enter it in your calculator. So 12 squared plus 16 squared, and I get 400. Does that equal the right-hand side, which is 20 squared? And yes, it does. So because these equal, I would say yes, this is a right triangle. All right, so and moving on, we're now going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find a missing side. So this next one, we're simply going to find it using the Pythagorean theorem. So it says find x, and it draws this beautiful triangle. It puts the 90-degree angle here, 9 inches, the side is x inches, and the bottom is 15 inches. Now remember, our hypotenuse is across from the 90-degree angle. but it's also your longest side. So not only is this the hypotenuse because it's across from the 90 degree, but it's also, if you use your fingers, it's the longest side there. So I know 15 is my hypotenuse. So 15 squared must equal, it doesn't matter what order you write. So you could write x squared first or 9 squared first. It wouldn't matter. Then I'm going to simplify. So this is x squared plus 81 equals, I believe this is 225, but we can make sure in our calculators 15 squared is 225. Then I would subtract 81. So x squared equals 169. No, I'm sorry. 144. I would take the square root. Now, it's important to mention, just so you don't forget, I have x squared means I have two possible solutions, 12 times 12 and negative 12 times negative 12. But which answer is possible given that we're looking for the side of a triangle? The positive. So x equals 12. Okay, the next two are, we're going to use this exact formula, but they already graphed the triangles for us. And so we're looking at a picture or of a grid, a triangle on a grid, and they want us for part D to find y. It should look exactly like your book. So in order to do that, I need to find the length of our two legs. And this is just like the one on your test. So I notice looking at this that my scale is different. My scale is by twos. This is 2, 4, 6, 8. So one way to do it would be to count your squares. So I'm going to start with the bottom. I know, again, this went by 2, 4, 6, 8. So this would be 2, 4, 6, 8. So this has a length of 8 units. So I know one of my sides is 8 squared plus, okay, I counted by twos, 2, 4, 6, 8. And I counted by twos because that is what the scale is by. So now I'm going to try the top. So one box is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And then it didn't go all the way to 16. It's halfway in the middle, so I'm going to say 15 squared. Now, I could confirm that by, if you look across, this is at, the x value is 2, my y value is 7. This point here is at 2, but my y value is negative 8. Negative 8 and 7 have a distance on the number line of 18 units away. So this side right here is 15. This side down here is 8. So I'm setting up my formula. So 8 squared plus 15 squared equals y squared. So 64 plus 225 equals y squared. Let's simplify that. 225 plus 64 gives me 289 equals y squared. Take the square root. Now again, 17 times 17 could give us 289, but so could negative 17. But because we're talking about the distance or the length of a side, only 17 is a possibility. Okay, we don't have to write the negative 17, but I want you to understand when we get into further math, there are two solutions there. Possible solutions. All right, so part E, in this one we are going to find Z. And I noticed this one, the scale is a little different. They did every 2 boxes is 1 unit. So this is at 1 and this is at negative 1. So the length of this one is 2. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So the length of this side is 4. So 4 squared plus 2 squared equals our longest side, or our hypotenuse of Z squared. So this gives me 16 plus 4, so this side is 20 equals Z squared. This asks for our answer to be in both forms, radical and decimal. So radical form, I have to finish this. So the square root of 20 is the same as 4 times 5. The square root of 4 is 2. I don't know the square root of 5. So there's the radical form. The decimal form, we just use our calculator and we hit the square root of 20. You might have to go Shift, square root button, 20. Said to round to the nearest tenth. So here's the tens place. So 7 rounds the 4 up, so 4.5. And so there's your two answers. So we are going to do the next 3. We are not going to do I think it's a little repetitive, but we are going to do F, G, and H, which has to do with our distance formula. So F, it asks for the distance between 2 points, 6 and 9, and negative 18 and negative 1. So distance equals the difference in my x values squared plus the difference in my y values squared. So I'm going to do my x values, and so I'm going to put those here, and then I'm going to do my y value and put them here. Okay, so here we go. Distance equals, doesn't matter which x you write first. So 6 minus negative 18, remember it's x minus, it's the difference, plus 9 minus a negative 1 squared. And then from here I'm simply going to simplify. So distance equals, I would get 6 plus 18 squared, plus this also becomes a positive, right? And so that would be the square root of 24 squared plus 10 squared. So using my calculator, 24 squared plus 10 squared equals 676. And I'm going to go ahead and enter that in my calculator. So what is the square root of 676? 26. So that's a perfect answer. So you don't have a simplified radical form because it has a perfect square root. Moving on to G. Same thing, they're going to give us 2 points. So 5 and negative 5, and the next point of 9 and negative 11. So distance equals, again, I'm going to do x here, and I'm going to do my y values here. So 5 minus 9 squared plus negative 5 minus negative 11 squared. I'm going to simplify each one. So this is negative 4 squared plus, this is negative 5 plus 11. So that would be 4 squared plus 6 squared. Now, you might be wondering, why'd you change the 4? Because a negative 4 times a negative 4 is going to give me the same result as a positive 4 times a positive 4, because you're squaring it, and a negative times a negative is a positive. So I get the square root, I believe it's 52, but let's confirm, 4 squared plus, 6 squared, yep, 52. So radical form, the square root of 52 is the same as, I know a factor of 4 times 13. The square root of 4 is 2, so 2 root 13. The decimal answer is to simply enter it in your calculator. So the square root of 52 is 7.2. The last one we're going to do today, and there is one like this on the test. Okay, so this is important. And there's one like the others too, but this one people will skip over, and it's important. So here are the 2 points that they gave us. It said find 2 possible values of k so that the distance between 1 and k and 6 and negative 3 is 13. So they're telling us what the distance is. So instead of writing d for distance, I'm simply going to write 13 equals the square root. The difference in my x values goes here. The difference in my y values goes here. So 1 minus 6 squared plus k minus a negative 3 squared. Now, I'm going to do a lot of things at once. I know that to get rid of this square root symbol, I have to square both sides. So I get 169 equals the square root's gone. We just canceled it. Of negative 5 squared plus k plus 3 squared. Now remember, k plus 3 squared means you have k plus 3 times k plus 3. So I'm going to write everything we have. 169 equals 25 plus k squared plus 3k plus 3k plus 9. Now, looking at this, I think, oh, I'm probably going to have to factor this sucker because that's the only method I've taught you so far. We haven't gone over the quadratic formula yet, so I'm going to subtract 169 and combine like terms as I go. So k squared, there's nothing to combine with him. I can combine my k's and they're both positive. And then I can combine all of my numbers. So 25 plus 9 minus 169. And I got, where's my calculator? 25 plus 9 minus 169. Sorry. And I got negative 135. So factors of 135 are 135 divided by 5. There's 5 times 27, and there's 15 times 9. 15 minus 9 is 6. So I know that my factors are k plus 15 and k minus 9. Now, the zero product property states that what value of k would produce 0? A negative 15 and 9. So those are the two possible solutions for k. And that's the end of that video.